all set in.
Yeah, all set. It took a while, especially the search, but now we're all set, so we can.
So you're enjoying the water sports, or?
You know, it's windy today, so my blood is flowing a little bit faster. Just wanted to get my gear. I'm a kite surfer, so
okay, it's kite surfing. Nice.
There's huge of a lot of beautiful spots, and actually we've now been here for 2 weeks since we moved, and it's been
quite
windy.
Recent.
Yeah, super recent. So here we are. This is the space. Lux, hey Pedro, how are you doing?
Hello, Cristina.
So this is where everything happens. Let's go in, and then I'll show you around. We have a studio here that we rented to do the innovation part. Have you been here before?
Yes.
Yeah, it's very. I know that a lot of people know this
it's
place.
It's an innovation hub, so.
Yeah, but I'm from the Netherlands, so it's new to me. Please come in and join. So, here we are. This is where the magic happens.
Yeah, this place has got a lot of good energy.
Good vibe.
Yeah.
Shall we sit down and get to it? So in the next few minutes we're going to be talking about innovation in the energy industry, and we're here with Richard and Cristina. Richard is our host here, and he started his career in...
Welcome.
Thank you. In telecommunications, then he had some time in the startup business, and he started a few companies that went well, some others not so well, which is part of the deal. And then he joined Galp from a startup boot camp in Barcelona. And Cristina Fonseca, she's a board member of Galp, but she's best known to the public as the creator, one of the creators of one of the earliest Portuguese unicorns, which is Talkdesk. And she's also a partner at Indico Capital, which invests in startup companies and in innovative businesses. So let's start with you, Richard. Can you explain us what's going to happen here and what's the goal of this upcoming energies factory, innovation factory?
Yeah, I'll explain. So first of all, welcome and thanks for your time. And yeah, we're here today at the new space for upcoming energies. The innovation factory that we call it internally, and its focus is to create new breakthrough technologies or encounter breakthrough technologies that will help us get into the energy transition. And basically, we are the team that will try to explore the uncharted territory of opportunities in existing or adjacent markets to the energy one, which is quite broad, through a process of discovery and incubation and acceleration. So those are the two things.
And what are the areas that you're going to be focusing on mostly?
So, like in a broader sense, it's energy transition, but when you would break it down, you would end up in mobility. A lot of the things have to do with digital nowadays, even in the energy space. And well, below that, you have a range of technologies that you see upcoming now. A lot of last mile, a lot of things around solar, a lot of things around technologies that will be able to create new energy consumption ways and also energy production ways. So a lot of new stuff, and we are actually ramping up. So today is one of the first days that we're opening up the garage or the shop, as you will. And we wanted to do this welcoming to open ourselves up to the ecosystem. So I'm very pleased that you guys are here joining us in this moment.
Thank you, Richard. And Cristina, you come from a very different world of the startups and innovation.
The garage stage, which
yes. And I mean, people, I think, outside of an oil and gas company, they have this idea of an old world company and old world economy thing. And when you came to Galp with that such different approach, do you think that the culture is that different? Is there going to be some cultural shock, or do you think things will happen smoothly?
No, I think, and I think the reason why this hub is getting to life is because there's value in both worlds. Probably Galp has the most complex technology I've ever seen, and that's hardcore technology that took like years to build, and it's super complex. But then the world is changing so fast that there's new ways, new opportunities, and other technologies that can create a lot of value. So, like sometimes I say, a little bit in a relaxed and funny way, that my job is to try to get my early stage entrepreneurs to behave a little bit like corporates, because there's a lot of things they miss and they lack. And then, of course, there's the corporates could also learn a little bit more with the experimentation and the agility that's characteristic of startups. So, like, there's of course value in both worlds. There's things that one does better than the other, and I think at the end, if we can bridge them, like, good things can happen. That's why Richard is welcome everyone to get in touch and collaborate with Galp in this sense.
And how is the process of turning a really bright idea and something really promising, but that's just an idea that basically doesn't exist physically, into a product that it can be integrated in a larger company such as Galp, and then turn into actual services and products that Galp can offer or sell to its customers?
It's a good question, especially the way you put it, which was like, how can I make a bright idea come true? Bright ideas are worth like nothing because it's just an idea, and those are free pretty much. But the execution is what matters. And when an entrepreneur comes to us and wants help, like usually it's financially, but sometimes it's not, to get an idea to the market, my way of thinking is, what's the smallest problem you can solve that can make you test your product or your technology, so then you can go the next level. It's not healthy for a company to go 2 years to the cave, build the most perfect product, and then go to the market with the product. It's experimenting and getting feedback from multiple stakeholders. And this is the thing that most people in big companies are not that used to do. Because people, like we as human beings, we like a little bit of certainty. And when we don't have that, and we need to deal with the fact that maybe I think I came up with the best idea ever, and the first time I go meet my customer, can be an internal team, whatever, to test that, I might be faced with, this is completely wrong. And people don't like that shock. And that's difficult. But it's the way it needs to happen. Otherwise, you might just develop something that doesn't make any sense. So that's what it takes. You do a lot of experimentation. You expose your idea, your fears, your doubts to the customer or the potential customer, and everyone collaborates to build a product that can be scaled in the market. So that's it. It seems simple, but it's not. But that's basically it.
I've heard you speaking about human-focused innovation. Is that a little bit more? Is it what this means? Is that you're focused on solving actual problems instead of just messing around with technology for its own sake?
Yeah, I think it's what Cristina just mentioned. It's like we assume too soon that the idea we have is the one that will end up putting into the market. Without any prior testing, just based on desk research or Excel sheets that are super bendable in any direction you want them to go to. So I think that's the different approach here. So just being a bit more humble, that even though we're a big corporation, that we don't actually know what's going to work, what's going to fly, and spend some time and resources, and basically also opening up ourselves a little bit to this different approach. Being a big brand, that sometimes is feels a bit scary, but it's very necessary because a lot of the initial ideas change over the course of time. Like a company like Slack, a communication company, started out as a gaming company. So they didn't become a gaming company, they became a communication company. And just because the thing didn't get nowhere, and they did have this urge to really be able to communicate in a very effective way. So that's an example of how a company just pivots, and that pivot is pretty radical, I would say. So, but that's the course that we should take, and there's a lot of territory in front of us, which is very unknown, especially in the energy market, and I think we have to adopt our ways of working in this area to do just that. Fast experimentation, getting results in, and instead of like taking opinion-based decisions, going to data-driven or at least data-influenced kind of decisions by our own testing.
And what's the methodology that you're going to use to do that? Is there a trick or a strategy? How does that work?
That would be cool if there would be one trick that would cover it all. But there
that would be the biggest idea ever.
Yeah, exactly. that really nails it. Truth to be told, there are a couple of methodologies that are adopted by big companies like Google, Apple, Amazon, that sort of wrote down the process of how they went about things to do exactly this. So fast experimentation, learning, setting up experiments. So there's a lot that we could learn from there. So that's design thinking, lean experimentation. And those are new things for an oil and gas company. So that's what we want to bring here to the table and share it with all the other divisions so we can learn from these methods and learn in that sense to be agile.
Mm-hmm. In the startup world, there's always it's very typical that companies go and do their pitch to big companies. Here, in putting that question on the other way around, how should Galp pitch itself to all this community to attract the best talent?
So it depends on what you want the talent for. But basically, if you wanna, like if you have a specific problem or a specific challenge that you want people to tackle, I mean, Galp has a super strong name, and most companies would love to work with Galp. But because there was no channel dedicated to make that happen, it was maybe sometimes not straightforward, and also I've seen this happen across the board. The teams not having a playbook to follow in regards to how do I work with a startup? Do I need to set up a contract and go through procurement and do what I do with every other supplier? Or maybe I have kind of a fast track way of doing things and I can set up a POC and there's a framework in place to make that happen.
What's a POC?
It's a proof of concept type project. So sometimes corporates say, I'm not sure this is going to bring value, but maybe I can do a small test and in 3 months I can find out, or 6 months. And if I can test these with a limited use case and problem, maybe I can then convince the organization to adopt this new solution. So departments are usually faced with decisions that they don't want to make because it's too risky to work with a startup. And these types of initiatives can be super useful to teach these people, look, you don't need to change everything, but you need to be open to try new things. And I guess startups now have a channel, a dedicated channel, to trying to find the best contacts within Galp. So we can all collaborate on solving the most pressing challenges for the organization.
Mm-hmm. And Richard, what would be your pitch to all the people who are out there watching?
To the ecosystem, yeah.
To the ecosystem.
Well, first of all, I think nobody knows we're doing this, so that's why we're here, just giving a big shout out to the whole community, international, global community. And for them understanding, maybe they look at oil and gas as a very traditional industry, but hey, we've created this, so we're opening up and we're opening up to the startup ecosystem. So it's just a big shout out for any startups, just like Christina's just mentioning, to reach out to us if they have any, or if they're working on any technology that could help us further in this energy transition. That said, we will announce more things as upcoming energy, so we'll create a website, be sure to look out for it, upcomingenergies.io, and there we will be announcing, channeling sort of the themes that we're interested in. So we're not getting an avalanche of startups in that want to do a lot of things, because then we'll be all over the place. So we have to be very focused what we're looking for today and tomorrow, and etc., to make that relationship a fluid one, where people get a quick response, etc., etc. And apart from that, obviously also reach out to universities, students that are working on these topics, research institutes. They're maybe a bit too early, because we are not an R&D department, so innovation is about making the commercial application. But still, if there's stuff out there that we should know about, we're super interested. We should, like Cristina said, channel all those new things into the company, to help us be more effective, more efficient, create higher customer satisfaction in the services and products that we have, and obviously in the new adjacent territories that we're now exploring, renewables, for instance.
Okay, Richard, so for all these innovators that are watching us, how is Galp going to be collaborating with all this innovation ecosystem and the startup world?
Okay, good question. Let me explain. So, like I said before in the intro, we're doing two things right now in 2020. One part is discovery, and the other part is incubation and acceleration. In the part of discovery, we have internal stakeholders like the divisions in upstream, midstream, the commercial units, and the renewables branch that have issues, problems on their agenda, challenges that they are facing, that they can come to us and poses the question, hey, is there a better solution to the current alternative that we have? Then we will reach out, do a call, or proactively look for startups in those areas, and then put them in touch or see how we can make that fit to make it a better solution. So we're doing that already in terms of credit scoring for the renewables branch, for residential solar, and we will do that with more. So that's the discovery part. The other part is incubation acceleration. So here we're still, to be dead honest, we're still figuring out how can we make a model where we run a program, could be a 3, 4, 6 month program, where we try to build a new venture, like a new kind of business. I'm still working on that one. I don't want to do a program just for the sake of running a program. So figuring out right now how we can do that. So we're looking for things in the area of what can we solve for people in terms of energy related things at home. And then probably we have to work together with the commercial unit. We will be working together with the renewables unit, and there's probably a lot of startups that already have off-the-shelf kind of solutions that we could deploy in that space. Always departing from the human-centered focus, that is, obviously. Okay. Yeah.
Why don't we continue this conversation upstairs? I've heard you have a great rooftop.
Yeah, sure, I can show you around. It's splendid, so let's go up. So let's go up. We have an amazing rooftop. Continue our conversation over there.
Of course, I'm sure that's very inspirational.
It is.
So we're having this discussion, and we have two major crises of an unprecedented scale that humankind is facing. One is obviously the climate change and the challenge for especially energy companies, and another one that's motivated by this COVID-19 pandemic, which has changed the habits of people all around the world in a couple of weeks, I'd say. So in terms of technology and innovation, what do you think will be the winning technologies and solutions or miracles for us to face I'd start with the climate change crisis. Maybe you can start with Cristina.
I mean, like, there's a couple of technologies that we've been developing over the last years. Some, I don't know if it's going to be a specific technology that's going to have a big impact, but for example, augmented reality and virtual reality, those never really took off because we didn't find a use case that would apply. But now, training, remote, like robotics and remote monitoring of complex infrastructures. So I guess these are going to take off for sure. And then we have on the mobility, of course, the autonomous driving and the self-driving cars. I think a pattern that I've seen in this transition is the ownership. So while before I didn't have a car because I didn't need a car, I would just like get my phone, tap a button, and a car would come to me. Now it's a little bit more about ownership because, I mean, what if the car is not in proper condition? So autonomous driving, I feel there's a drive in the industry to accelerate some of the technologies that we've been working on in the past years. Autonomous driving, augmented reality, virtual reality, robotics. I guess those will be for sure part of this new way of living. Let's call it like that.
But that's more applied to mobility, but also on a broader scale in terms of the energy system. Richard, what do you think will be the winning solutions?
There's a mix of bets. So I think that answer really depends on what geography we're talking about. So it's very different in countries where we have a lot of sun. You could be in a geographical area where there's a lot of wind, in areas where there's geothermal dynamics that could be used. So it will be a mix depending on what context, geographical context we're talking about. But talking about Iberia, like a big bet is solar. So that's one of those energy sources that we have every day, and it could actually be enough for the rising energy consumption. And we're betting on those.
And we're looking at innovative technologies related with that here at the app.
Yeah. So I think a lot of
without
people,
wanting to disclose anything at this such an early stage.
Not disclosing, but I think it's in general. We've invested in this 2.9 gigawatt park, and I think there's a lot of technologies that could be deployed to actually get close to that number. As you know, solar parks need to be maintained, so that's driving up the costs. So there's a lot of tech already out there, developed by startups and scale-ups that could be deployed in those solar parks, which make them efficient in the sense of continuous cleaning, getting more light absorption by the panels. So that's on a centralized level. And on a decentralized level, we obviously have residential solar. So if you look at the houses here in Portugal and in Spain, there's only so much houses that now have solar, and there's a huge market that we could grab, and we're actually speeding up the process of actually getting there. And I don't know. Interesting about that, I think, is the development between the efficiency, which is a rational kind of decision, and the aesthetics. So I compared with the Tesla. So before Tesla went for a Model S, so the luxurious car, and you also have aesthetical looking solar roofs. The roofs that we have right now are just screwed on top of a roof. They're not really nice. But I think we're getting to the point where they can be aesthetically beautiful and still affordable by a majority of people. And I think that will make us cross the chasm in the decentralized solar game.
Mm-hmm. And Cristina, the solutions that you were mentioning, they were related with like mobility habits. I mean, I think with the COVID, people are going to think more 2 or 3 times before they take a plane or fly to another country, so that virtual reality and all those technologies could be used. Do you think, but on the other hand, I think maybe the driverless cars and all that, if people are not moving around, maybe it will be more difficult for that model to pick up. I don't know, there are lots of conflicting trends, which are probably difficult to balance. But do you think that in 5-10 years, people will be moving around more often or less often than?
I would say less often. Honestly, I think in the past years, the amount of travel, and like just became probably too crazy, especially for business purposes. Also because culturally, it was not natural for you to meet someone online, in the same way that it was not natural for kids to go to school in front of the computer. So these changes are making the society see work, education, and our personal lives in another way. Maybe people don't want to live in the center anymore. They can go away and just come to the office 2-3 times a week. That's for sure changing. And like the driver, again, is technology. So we want to put solar panels that are beautiful on top of every house. We are going to try to create a decentralized structure. We are going to rely a lot on software. Probably we'll do planning using a lot of data and artificial intelligence to be able to predict some patterns in the same way that now these the mobility patterns, there's lots of companies that have data on how the behaviors of our citizens are changing, and data can help us understand that better. So I would say there's no lack of opportunities for you to tackle
Totally.
here.
But still, I think we are social animals, so I still prefer to be like us sitting together. But even then, technology can step in to get back to the normal. I think we're just too late with this whole pandemic. Governments were too late. We had material too late. So maybe we can rethink of how to prepare ourselves for the next virus. And yeah, technology can step in there. But there's this whole discussion about tracing, where people are, the contact tracing, and how does that relate to privacy. So big issues, but I think if we solve those with technology, we will be better prepared and we can maintain the life that we actually want to live. I do agree on the working behavior where there was this cult of 9 to 5, you have to be there at 9, and everybody is at the same time dropping off the kids, jumping on the highway at the same time. Why are we doing this? I think now companies have been forced to a different way of working where you can actually see like, oh, that's actually even more productive even. So we can have something stick, and on the other hand, we can have technology solutions that will help us do the things that we want to do as people.
Mm-hmm. And obviously moments of crisis and of change of habits are also moments where things change and new opportunities arise from when those old habits
I think my favorite side effect of this crisis has been how people have been able to adapt. You'd speak with an employee of a corporate, that person would say, no, like, I come to the office, I don't know how to work remotely. You'd speak with a manager regarding aligning a team that's not like in your like under your close control. That person would say, no, like it doesn't work like that. You know, like teachers would say, come on, like I'm old enough, like I don't care about how to teach, I'm never gonna teach online. That changed. There were projects in the shelves of companies for years in some cases, and people didn't have a strong reason to move them forward, right? It was, well, yes, I know this is happening, digitalization is accelerating everything, but I've been doing this for 20 or 30 years, it's been working, so there was no incentive, and I've seen lots and lots of companies, like in 3 months, changing completely the way they do things. And I guess that's the most powerful ingredient when it comes to innovation, which is the ability of people to explore doing things in a different way. So that's like, that gives me hope that even with the uncertainty that we still have today, we will be able to understand and to navigate and find a new way of living and working.
Okay, Richard and Cristina, thank you very much for speaking with me. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you.
And to everyone that's who's watching us at home, please just remember that tomorrow at 3 p.m. on GMT time, you will be able to post any questions that you may have to Richard and Cristina online, and you can find the link somewhere here below. So thank you very much again, and
Thank you.
it was a pleasure.